Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to a brand new series where I'm going to be showing you the way I would approach starting a Master League with certain teams. And today we're looking at Arsenal. So I've chosen Big Pat here, Patrick Vieira, who's just being welcomed by the players. And let's just take a look at some of the settings I've made here. So I think the two key ones I want to talk about is first off the starting budget, which I've put as fairly low. This will give you around £70 million. And I think that's about right. For Arsenal, it all seems to be about sort of net spend. So they're like sort of known as net spend FC, aren't they, in the Premier League? So what that's going to do is basically force you to sell players before you can buy more. I've also put the negotiation difficulty as fairly easy because I do believe that Arsenal are a club, being in London, they do seem to attract big players with the likes of Thomas Partey, for example, this season. So I do think they can attract the big players, and that's why I've gone for those settings right there. When it comes to targets, I think UEFA Champions League should be the minimum. I think top 4 is what they should be aiming for. So that's what I would agree to when you're setting out your objectives. Now, whenever I'm starting a Master League, the first place I go is directly into the game plan before I do any of my negotiations or anything like that. And I'll explain more on why I do that in a minute. But basically, I've gone for a formation that I want to see Arsenal play. And I want to sort of replicate the sort of Wenger ball that, Arsene Wenger pretty much put together. It was really exciting on the eye to watch. But I think we need to go for that. We need to go for somewhere in between Wenger ball. And the reason I say that is because they sort of need to look back at the days when it was Vieira, Petit, such strong mentality across the team. I just feel they lost that when the likes of Vieira and Henry left. I just felt like the team started to fall apart and they became a bit weak mentally. But this is the sort of formation I would go for, and we can definitely enforce that. But so this is the formation and tactics. So it's a 4-5-1, and I've gone to try and replicate the Wenger ball playstyle for starters. Players we'll look at it in a minute. So it's possession, short pass, central attack and air, flexible positioning, 3 for support range. Obviously, there's a lot of interchanging parts, a lot of moving parts, and so that's why there's such a low support range and the flexible positioning. And then when it comes to defensively, it's a frontline press with wide containment, forcing your opposition to try and play through the middle of you, which is going to be very, very difficult with the 2 defensive midfielders to gobble up anyone trying to play through the middle. And then aggressive pressing, 8 for defensive line, so a fairly high defensive line, something to consider when you buy players. You don't want to make sure they're slow, obviously in my case. And then when it comes to compactness, I've gone for a compactness 5, and that's pretty much what they used to use when he played Wenger ball. So advanced instructions, attacking fullbacks. So obviously the fullbacks will get forward to support, and tiki-taka. So with the attacking fullbacks, it does mean Pepe and Willian will come inside a little bit, but that's not a overly bad thing because Tierney and Bellerin will offer plenty of support going forward. With the 2 defensive midfielders, one of them's an anchor, so he will definitely fill in for the fullbacks, and Partey is box to box. I would probably change that to anchor man as well. I would want that extra bit of solidity back there to support David Luiz and Gabriel, because I think this is where the weakness in this Arsenal team sort of lies. You look everywhere else. Tierney, great fullback. Bellerin could be improved, in terms of delivery and stuff like this, but getting up and down the wing, no problem at all. Pepe is excellent right winger. Partey, brilliant, and Xhaka, someone could look to replace, but we have got Dani Ceballos on the bench if we want to mix things up. But Xhaka isn't all that bad. He's got good long range shooting. And then Odegaard, obviously on loan from Real Madrid. And you'll probably notice that the loan players that have gone out of the Arsenal team I've taken out. And I've also obviously made all the transfers. So these transfers are up to date. And then Willian on the left-hand side. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Got Martinelli and Saka as backups for both those wing players. So that's good. And then up front, we've got Aubameyang with the backup of Lacazette. That's absolutely superb. And then again, Nketiah, maybe for like the cup matches would be ideal. So as you can see here, really, really good team. But the place that sort of worries me the most is these two centre-backs and also a backup for Tierney. There isn't anyone, I believe, or well, Cedric can sort of play there, but not all that well. So backup for Tierney, so just a low 77 rated left back would be fine. But that centre-back position, you need two really good, solid centre-backs. You know, David Luiz isn't getting any younger. He's 33 years old. I do like this guy, Magalhaes, and I do believe he will develop quite nicely. But if you want to compete at the top, then replacing these two centre-backs is your priority, I would say. So now let's look at the two positions we were going to strengthen. So starting off with the left-back positions, I found two players here, Arana first up, and you know, I was looking for mainly lofted pass above 75 and also pinpoint crossing, and this guy showed up. Got decent stats, good speed up and down the wing, good balance and stamina as well. He's got good ball control and dribbling, so I would definitely recommend him. You know, he's only 23 years old and you can pick him up for just around £2 million, so that should leave you a fair amount of money in the pot to buy some of the other players we're going to look at in a second. The other option is a little bit more expensive, Angelino. He's a little bit quicker. He's got better lofted pass stats. He's 23 years old and he's got much better conditioning. He's got conditioning 6 and he's only 23 years old, like I said. So, you know, he's also very similar, but I would say he's like the premium version, and you can pick him up with a relatively cheap release fee of £13.5 million. So I would probably opt for Angelino personally. He's better well known in the game and he's just got the right stats in the right places, and I just think he's better at everything, and he'd be a far more reliable left back. But to be honest, the £2 million option isn't a bad one either, so either one of those two would suit your left back positions. Moving on to centre backs. Now, I've sort of split this in two, whether you want to go all in for a top centre back or whether you want to look to develop someone. So Kamara is someone I would look to develop. He's, you know, you're looking at 33 million, so he's not cheap. And I don't think he's like the final answer. I don't think you wouldn't be improving your defense massively with this signing because his defensive awareness isn't high enough for my liking, 81. But don't get me wrong, this is one of the best defenders you can buy. Next up is Koundé, and again, he's a very, very good player. Now, he is someone I would actually recommend. I think I would put this guy ahead of Kamara, but you know, matching these two as centre backs that you develop over time would be terrific. I mean, you could buy both of these and Arana, so with your budget, but that would literally blow all your budget. So he's just 22 years old. Defensive awareness is really good, 84. Ball winning, 87. And he's very quick as well, because obviously we've got that high defensive line. I've looked at that with all these players, making sure we've got decent speed, and he's very good as well. 83 acceleration, 78 speed, good low pass stats and ball control. So both of these players are comfortable bringing the ball out of defense and, you know, passing it to a nearby player without too much trouble. When it comes to, you know, sort of player skills and playing styles, you know, he's got man marking and interception, and Kamara's got man marking, interception. Acrobatic clear is very, very useful. Very underrated sort of attribute to have with a defender. Another player I was looking at is this player here. Now, he's not as good at bringing the ball out of defense, but he's probably a little bit better defensively than both those players. But I think I would still go for Koundé over Uri, simply for the fact that he's only got a slightly better defensive awareness, but the stats overall aren't as good. This player here who doesn't have a release fee, but he's only worth £8 million. And if you can get him for around that price, or maybe 12 million, just to, depending how awkward they're going to make it in terms of negotiations, he's got great defensive awareness and ball winning, and he's pretty good on the ball in terms of passing. I wouldn't expect him to bring the ball out from defense, but releasing the ball from defense to midfield or to your wide players, no problems with distribution. He's also quite a tank. That physical contact, 86. So muscling, those sort of trickier players off the ball shouldn't be an issue for this player. Jonathan Tatt, he's quite famous, but famed in the PES scene. Again, he's not got bad low pass stats. It's red, but it's still 72 for low pass, and lofted pass is 70. He's got good maneuverability for that tight possession, but again, it's not someone you could rely on to bring the ball out of defense. And I think there are better options in the likes of Koundé and Kamara, in my opinion. But he's a giant. He's 195 centimeters in height, 96 kilograms. So bit of a beast. He's got great physical contact as well. And speed wise, he's okay. Acceleration is a little bit of a concern. So if he has to turn sharply and try and get back in, you may find a little bit of problems there. So I would probably, like I said, still recommend those Koundé and Kamara as my two preferences. And this is a really good player. I've got to admit, I find this guy really good defensively. So if you wanted a solid centre back he isn't the earth. He's 27 million, but his defensive awareness and ball winning are really, really high. I think if you purely wanted a defender that can actually defend, this is a good guy to go for. My only concern is his height, 178 centimeters. So you would have to pair him with someone tall, and you may, come up a bit unstuck against those sort of big, powerful, target men or players good in the air generally. The likes of Harry Kane may cause a few issues for him. And then top of the list, if you want to go all in for a good pacey defender, solid defensively, is Manolas from Napoli. Defensive awareness 90, ball winning 90, aggression 87. Aggression's good for getting people off the ball, but he's got good physical contact, great stamina. He's got good heading as well. So offensively, he could chip in with a goal or two from corners, and then speed and acceleration really, really good. But again, not great at bringing the ball out of defense or passing out of defense. So give that responsibility to someone else. If he's alongside David Luiz, give the ball to David Luiz to play the ball out, as he's got better pass stats. So those are my recommended signings or players that you should be looking at. But like I said, I think out of all of these, if I was playing a long-term Master League with Arsenal, it would be Koundé and Kamara would be my first two signings. So now let's take a look at the scouting network. So I've gone for a left back, and you're going to be looking for someone who's still developing. Like I said, you've got Tierney at left back. He's going to be playing the majority of your matches. So it is literally just someone to come in and fill the gap whenever he is injured or off form, or just generally needs a rest. And then for centre back positions, I've gone for overall rating. This will enable you to get a big, powerful centre back. And if anyone appears on the scouting network, you will be able to get them much cheaper. So if you do find the likes of Koulibaly, who's way out of your budget, you may be able to get him a lot cheaper, and you may be able to fit him in your budget if possible. The likes of Koulibaly would be amazing, but the likes of Manolas may pop up on this list. So again, you could probably get him a little bit cheaper than going out and paying the full release fee. And then I've gone for a centre back still developing, and with any luck, the likes of Kamara and Koundé may pop up. It's going to be pretty rare, but if they do, you're going to be laughing to the bank, because you'll just be able to pick those two up much cheaper if they ever appear on your scouting network. When it comes to training, the only ones I've changed are these so far. So Thomas Partey, I would be happy with him being a box-to-box in the likes, or similar to the likes of Vieira, how he used to play. But with the attacking fullbacks, I think Anchorman would be the more sensible option. But it's entirely up to you how you want him to play. The other ones I've changed are Gabriel Magalhaes, and I've changed him to build up from Destroyer. If you looked at or watched my defending playstyle video, you'll notice that the Destroyer was a little bit higher up than the build up player. So I just want him just to sit back just a little bit, as we've already got David Luiz as an extra front man who will sit a little bit further ahead of any build up players. I also changed Martinelli from roaming flank to prolific winger, as I think that best suits his stats with his, he's got decent finishing and dribbling, so I believe he has the ability to nick a few goals during the season. And the rest of the team I'm really happy with in terms of training. The offensive fullbacks, really important if they're going to be attacking and supplying your width for you. But the rest looks something like this. Now, when it comes to skill training, I would go for one-touch pass with Thomas Partey. And the reason being is that it improves, obviously, the technique and precision and accuracy for any one-touch passes. And that's really important as a defensive midfielder, in my opinion. And especially if he's box-to-box, that makes it even more important. Especially with the way the game mechanics are this year in terms of how hard it is to retain possession. With the ball goes astray far more often than it used to. The second player, or the second option I would go for, once Thomas Partey's learned that, is a goalkeeper high punt for Bernard Leno. He is a very good goalkeeper that I think you'll probably be using the majority of the season, if not certainly the foreseeable future. It's not a position that you really need to worry about. So I would go for the goalkeeper high punt next, because that's quite a useful tool for just launching it down the pitch, especially with the likes of Aubameyang up front with his pace, who might be able to get in behind the defence. So that is the first episode of this series. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, as how can I improve this? Which bits do you like? Which bits do you want me to talk less about? Anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys in episode 2, where we'll look at another team. So just drop a comment below who you'd like to see next. And yeah, thanks for all your help and watching the video, and it's a great support to the channel. Once again, thank you very much. Bye-bye.